Real happy with it. The companies are. The people are like, I'll quote you one. With the information I have now, I would never have switched. Under a Democratic government, they could never have imposed this on us. And if they ever passed a law allowing people to go back, there would be a great exodus to the government-run pension plans. What many defenders of CHILE's current program do not reveal is that under the old public plan, workers received not only pensions, but health care, low-interest housing loans from pension funds, and many other benefits. And that program covered 75% of all Chileans, but when the private pensions went into effect, all the other services were dropped, and as a result, Chile's welfare pensions for the desperately needy rose by 400% up to their legal limit. However, the government was able to keep their own generous public plans, their own government health care, their own government pensions. Does this sound familiar to anybody? This is the ultimate con job, and it's being done to you. You're being played like a third world country. You're not even going to believe what's going to happen in this country. I mean, you thought the last 10 years were bad. Why in the world are you going to go and vote for people who are going to vote exactly the way that those who did it to you did it to you? I don't get it. Dave in Buffalo.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Dave.
I want to reflect on something you mentioned last hour about Chile. Here in Erie County, we have a Republican county.
Named after Lake Superior.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm never sure why it's Erie. I mean, because it's stormy, or is it strange, or is it named after some dude that found it first? I can't understand.
Maybe Christine O'Donnell named it.
Well, witches do like north. Did you know this? North-flowing rivers are powerful for Wiccans. Oh. Most rivers in North America actually run south.
Oh, that's too bad.
But anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
We have a Republican county supervisor. He's basically like, the mayor of the county. And he was a semi-successful business person, and he's decided to run the county government like a business. So what they do is they put out, bid requests for suppliers, for office materials and whatever the county needs to run. What they've done is determine that they're going to accept every lowest bid.
Oh, God.
Right. And so one example...
Why? It's the race to the bottom, everybody.
Exactly. One example, a customer of mine came into the store the other day and said that she has a room full of toner cartridges that fit into her copier machines, but they don't actually work. And because of budget cuts and layoffs and so forth, there's no mechanism to actually package them up and send them back to the supplier and try to get a refund.
Well, that's some business.
Right. And
that's
exactly.
some business that you can't even get a store credit or a return.
Right, because there's no mechanism, there's no bureaucracy.
Look, government, here's the reason why you can't run government like a business. Number one, government is not supposed to make a profit. Okay? That's the biggest difference there is. Number two, shareholders get paid. If they're not sending checks to the people of Erie, and they're not sending out dividend checks, then they're not running it like a business. And if there's no way to return stuff that the government has purchased for you, then they're not running it like a business.
Exactly. And
they're running it like a crony capitalist would run a business, hiring the brother-in-law, everything. If you come in low, you'll get the business. So everybody comes in low, and they promise to deliver nothing. Okay, for nothing. If I promise to deliver nothing to you, I can totally underbid everybody.
Absolutely. And when you have house, work done on your house, I mean, nobody hires the lowest bidder, and not many people hire the highest bidder, but somewhere in between is always a smart choice. And I'm just wondering what's going to happen
Well,
next.
you know what? When people...
Fuel that chokes up the engines?
Yeah, exactly. But when people do hire somebody to do work on their house, they hire somebody who's licensed. They hire somebody who has good referrals. They do due diligence. Hiring the lowest bidder doesn't require due diligence. You don't even know if the supplier is capable of supplying. You don't know if the supplier has, positive ratings from other people who have received his goods and services. He just came in with the lowest bid, which is a race to the bottom.
Right, and this is, that's what we're in for if we continue on this journey.
I'm telling you, read this article about Chile that's on RandiRhodes.com in the homework section. It's long, but you could skip the whole human atrocity part if you want to, and just look at the business. Look at who it was. Look at how Newt Gingrich supports this. Look at Milton Friedman. Look at the Republicans of the 80s who supported making Chile into a free market laboratory. Look at who, and it's called shock treatment. And look at the result. It's a horrendous result. Look at the privatizing of the pensions. Look at what it looks like when you have a country that privatizes everything, cuts government spending, breaks up labor unions, and says foreign investment is more than welcome here. No restrictions on foreign investment. In fact, we'll do tax credits or guarantees for foreign investors. Look at what happens. And here's Ricardo in Pasadena.
Hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to add a couple things that I forgot that I haven't heard from your program right now. And Pinochet started a system in Chile. Chile is a big producer of copper. It's the biggest producer of copper in the world.
Right.
Flat out of the top, it goes a percentage for the military and purchase of weapons. So in such a way that Chile is now the number one armed country in Latin America. Another issue, too, is Pinochet had terrorist actions in the United States. An ambassador, Letelier, and his American secretary were murdered in Washington. And nobody said anything about it.
Right. I remember that name, yeah.
Yeah. Also, the General Pratt, all supporters of Allende. They weren't really supporters of Allende. They just were against the dictatorship. And General Pratt was murdered in Buenos Aires. And on and on. So that's the scenario that these people were operating, and I think I should say it when I had the opportunity, so people should know that we knew all these things all along.
Well, it was the weirdest thing. I mean, Pinochet was one of these guys who, while he was a dictator, and he was he tortured people, he disappeared, 11,000 human rights abuses were counted.
They have them all naked in a stadium. We know people that were there. They said they were all naked in the stadium. It was the most demoralizing action. It was incredible. These people were so crazy.
And the reason why no one said anything is because he actually turned over the entire control of the economy of Chile to the Chicago boys. And that's why they didn't say anything. Okay? Milton Friedman, the guy who orchestrated all of this in Chile, he said, while economic freedom facilitates political freedom has a tendency to destroy economic freedom. So he loved the dictatorship model there. They counted on it. The CIA, the American CIA, actually took out Allende and put in Pinochet so that they could use Chile, a country of 15 million people, as a laboratory for this free market economic principle theory.
That's very scary.
It's so scary. It failed miserably. Are you're Chilean?
No.
Well, are you South American?
Yes.
Yeah. People around the world know this. People here, for some reason, don't. And the idea that every single thing that is coming out of the mouths of these candidates in this midterm election, government spending has to be drastically reduced, privatization of government services, massive deregulation of the market, liberalization of international trade. These were all the principles that were put into effect in Chile and destroyed that country.
Plus, you add the John Birch Society ideas that are re-engineered by these days, and you add that John Birch plus economic craziness, you get into a really horror film.
You know, when you say, John Birch, you almost say Juan Birch, and it almost makes him sound human.
Well, Beck is nothing else but a repetition of the John Birch Society. I mean, he's using the same attacks against Wilson. He's doing the same topics. He just adds a little mystique and mystery.
He's a good entertainer. That's why.
Yeah, and people think it's something special that nobody knew. It's something new. When we all know that it's a John Birch recycle.
Yeah, and Father Coughlin and all the haters from...
of course.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Nice to talk to you. Bye-bye.